What happened in Pascagoula, Mississippi on the night of October 11, 1973, is a mystery that has baffled investigators and UFO enthusiasts for decades. Did you know that over 50 years later, this alien abduction case remains one of the most well-documented and controversial in UFO history? The truth about what happened that night is far more bizarre than you can imagine. The Pascagoula incident of 1973 is one of the most famous alien abduction stories in the world, often compared to the Roswell crash of 1947 in terms of its cultural impact. On that autumn evening, two men, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, claimed they were abducted by strange, robotic-like creatures while fishing along the Pascagoula River. Their stories shocked the small town of Pascagoula and quickly became international news, fueling debates over the existence of extraterrestrial life. What makes the Pascagoula incident stand out is not just the boldness of the claim, but the level of detail in the witnesses' testimonies and the emotional toll it took on them. Despite skepticism and ridicule, the men stuck to their story for the rest of their lives. So, what really happened that night? Was it an elaborate hoax, a shared delusion, or something truly unexplainable? From the moment Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker went public with their story, they faced widespread skepticism. The very idea of being abducted by alien beings was, and still is, met with disbelief, and the lack of physical evidence only added to the doubt. Despite their detailed accounts, the two men found themselves struggling to be believed, even though Hickson passed a polygraph test soon after the incident. The skepticism wasn't just limited to the public. Law enforcement and media questioned the credibility of the witnesses, dismissing the event as a possible hallucination or fabrication. Over the years, investigators, including UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike, have tried to uncover the truth, but the case remains shrouded in mystery. The challenge is clear. Without concrete evidence, how do we separate fact from fiction? Let's go back to that fateful night in 1973. Charles Hickson, 42, and Calvin Parker, 19, were fishing on the banks of the Pascagoula River. According to their accounts, they suddenly noticed a strange blue light hovering above the water. As the light intensified, a craft, described as oval-shaped and approximately 30 to 40 feet long, descended and hovered nearby. What happened next defies explanation. Three robotic-like beings emerged from the craft. Hickson described them as humanoid in shape, with gray, wrinkled skin, claw-like hands, and pointed appendages where their ears and noses should be. The beings floated toward them, emitting a strange mechanical noise. Hickson claimed that both he and Parker were paralyzed and taken aboard the craft. Inside the craft, Hickson reported that they were subjected to what seemed like an examination. The creatures used some kind of device that scanned their bodies. After a period of time that neither man could fully account for, they were returned to the riverbank, where they found themselves dazed and terrified. Parker, who was younger and more emotionally affected by the encounter, reportedly fainted during the incident. The two men immediately reported the event to the local sheriff's office, where their emotional states were noted as genuine. They were secretly recorded during a private conversation, hoping to catch them fabricating the story, but the recording only confirmed their distress. They continued to discuss the incident in hushed, terrified tones, never deviating from their initial account. The most compelling part of the Pascagoula abduction story lies in the consistency and emotional weight of the witnesses' testimonies. Charles Hickson remained steadfast in his claims for the rest of his life, even passing a polygraph test shortly after the incident. Calvin Parker, who was more reluctant to discuss the event due to fear of public ridicule, eventually opened up in later years, providing even more detailed recollections. Over time, additional witnesses came forward to report seeing strange lights in the sky around the Pascagoula River that night, adding credibility to the men's accounts. In 2019, a historic marker was even placed at the site of the alleged abduction, further cementing the incident's place in UFO lore. Despite ongoing investigations by UFO researchers, psychologists, and skeptics, no definitive explanation has ever been provided. Was it a case of mass hallucination, misinterpreted natural phenomena, Or could Hickson and Parker have truly encountered something beyond this world? The Pascagoula incident of 1973 remains one of the most puzzling UFO cases in history. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker's detailed account of being abducted by alien beings has stood the test of time, despite the skepticism it initially faced. From the mysterious blue light to the robotic-like creatures and the emotional aftermath, their story continues to captivate believers and skeptics alike. Ultimately, the Pascagoula abduction raises more questions than it answers. What did they experience that night? And if their story is true, what does it mean for our understanding of extraterrestrial life? What do you think really happened in Pascagoula? Do you believe Hickson and Parker's story, or are you more skeptical? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our other videos on some of the world's most unexplained phenomena.